Hello, my name is Anthony Tieu, and I'll be talking about one of the historic locations in Philadelphia. There are many different important buildings and locations that have played a role in our history, but I will be talking about only one of those things. That one thing is Penn's Landing, the Delaware River front of which our founder, William Penn, landed in 1682. He started out his life by attending Christ Church College, which was also known as the University of Oxford, but it didn't last very long. He had just started his education at Oxford, but after he had seen how the religion was, he criticized the church heavily and was expelled. So then his father sent him to France to study theology at the Protestant Academy in Saumur. After finishing his studies at Saumur, he returned to England in 1664 and began his studies in law. Penn then traveled to Ireland, where he had ran into many Quaker preachers that encouraged him to join their faith. After spending time with the Quakers, he began to fight for freedom for the religious groups that were being mistreated. As soon as he had made this decision to join the Quakers on their mission, his life had completely changed. In the late 1600s, he had written many different books about what his religious beliefs were, but was arrested and sent to prison for publishing these books. Even though he was imprisoned, this did not stop Penn from continuing to write and to fight for the religious freedom of the religious groups. During his time in prison, he was able to create another book to spread the Quaker teachings of self-denial and to be socially reformed. As Penn was continuing this work, he was arrested many times because of illegal preaching and starting riots. After a certain amount of time, he traveled to England, Holland, and Germany to spread his beliefs, or also referred to as missionary trips. By the early 1670s, he had become one of the important figures to the Quakers. In 1675, he was given a mission to solve a problem between property owners in the American colony of New Jersey. After solving this problem, he had been selected to be the leader of the organization of founding a Quaker colony in America. King Charles II gave Penn more land west of the Delaware River and was made the proprietor or the governor of the new colony, which the king named Pennsylvania. He had moved to the new colony in 1682 and immediately started his experiment by creating the government of the new colony. The constitutions were distributing land to settlers and establishing a peaceful relationship with the Indians. The progress of the colonization of the new colony was being a quick success. The Pennsylvania has encouraged many of the Quakers from England and Europe. It also attracted many members of different religious groups. Even though the progress of bringing new people to the colony was great to the financial troubles, border security, and political conflict were the main problems. To try to solve these problems, William Penn had to travel back to England to try to get some of the money he was given by the king to bring back for the new colony to try to solve these problems. But when Penn returned, all the money was taken away due to a new royal rule. So then he returned to Pennsylvania to try to solve these problems by changing the Constitution. Later on, Penn decided that he could not handle the colonization, so he lived in England for the rest of his life, leaving his secretary James Logan to lead the colony. After a long time of traveling back and forth on the Delaware River, he finally settled down. In 1696, Penn married Hannah Callowhill. She helped William in his efforts of keeping the land he had founded, especially when he had suffered a stroke in 1712. Years later, Penn had died in Ruscombe, England on July 30th, 1718. Now, Penn's Landing is known as the first location of where our founder, William Penn, had landed. But in the early years, many farmers, workers, and manufacturers sent many materials to England. Soon after England had come to the waterfront of Philadelphia with also new materials, such as wool, linen, nails, metals, and gunpowder. Trading from one country to another was considered a very important role to the city. After many years, Penn's Landing was redeveloped into a park along the Delaware River. Walkways were put in, theaters were built, gardens and stalls, and even trees were put in. Today, it is used as a location for many events that take place in the city. The main place at Penn's Landing is the Great Plaza, which was considered as a concrete labyrinth. It was also an amphitheater that hosted many festivals, but the plaza was not just known as a place for entertainment. It also contained information of the waterfront's history. It held details of the growth, the economy, the geology of the Delaware River, the population, and the information on the first neighborhoods. There were also several historic ships that are anchored there, such as the World War II submarine, Spanish-American War cruiser, and the Bork, which are part of the Independence Seaport Museum. This museum was opened in 1995 and is known as the Waterfront Educational and Cultural Center. The museum explains the impact that the waterfront has on the nation as a whole. In the center, it is where all the different things that shaped the waterfront, which was the commerce, trade, naval defense, shipbuilding, and now what the immigrants had experienced. Penn's Landing was also known for different events that we should all be very familiar with, including the New Orleans-inspired festival, the summer concert series where musicians come to spend a weekend in Philadelphia to play different genres of music, and another event that should be familiar with everyone is the Blue Cross River Rink, which is the skating rink during the winter, and it hosts the Winterfest. There's also the fireworks that are hosted in Penn's Landing. Some of the biggest displays are the New Year and the 4th of July. Concerts, musicals, dance troupes, and ethnic programs are featured throughout the summer. Penn's Landing was known as one of the first locations where William Penn had first set foot.